Hi, I'm Alex Kienlen. Welcome to Make It Make Sense here at the studios in Little Rock, where we discuss affairs of the day and what those affairs mean or can mean to us. And I'm joined today by somebody I've actually known for quite a while, Eli Cranor. Eli, how in the world are you?
Doing great, Alex, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, and as you can tell by what it says below Eli's name there, he's an author, an award-winning author. In fact, I'll just run through some of the awards. Your debt novel, Don't Know Tough. What year did that come out?
Yeah, so that was my first one, 2022.
2022 that came out, and you received the Edgar Award for it. You're an Amazon, I believe that's an Amazon editor's pick, is it not?
Yes.
Other novels have reached acclaim, including the one you have out now, but USA Today speaks well of you, as does the New York Times. Mark Twain Voice Award. Way to go, man.
Yeah, you got me blushing here.
Yeah.
You got all the top hits.
And a Democrat Gazette columnist and former quarterback. Oh, what league did you play in? Well, I'm glad you asked, people. He played everything from Pee Wee to Pro Bowl.
And Pro Bowl probably needs an asterisk. I did play professionally. I did get paid, but it was in Sweden. So American football in Sweden.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, you know what? That's way farther up the ladder than I ever made it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And I've never been to Sweden. Yeah. And we met when you were doing a newspaper column answering people's questions about sports, about youth sports.
Yeah, athletic support, which my mother came up with that joke and came up with the title for athletic support.
Well, there you have it. And but today I wanted to talk about the creative process. I know a thing or two about writing newspaper columns, and I've written more than a few million in my life. But I wanted to give people an idea of what it is to be a creative person or to do creative things, and certainly these novels. So when you start these novels, you draw on your personal experience?
Yeah, so this is such a paradox to talk about, and I know this from I'm entering my third year at Arkansas Tech University, where I serve as the writer in residence. Mm-hmm. And so part of that job is I teach a couple of creative writing courses every semester. And it has been so interesting, Alex, to try and go back to that stage, because that's where it all started. I was dead set on being a lawyer. I was double majoring in political science and English. Mm-hmm. And I took this creative writing course with this guy named Dr. Johnny Wink, and he set me on fire for wanting to create and wanting to be an author. And so I love it because every semester I always teach intro to creative writing, and I always get to kind of start back at the very basics of how do you do this? How does a person? And so I do. That's what I told them the other day. We always start with 6-word stories. We start at the very smallest cellular level. Mm-hmm. You ever heard that Hemingway? Yeah, and I don't know if it's actually true. I don't know if anybody knows it. But purportedly, somebody once asked Hemingway if he could write a story in just 6 words. Mm-hmm. And he came back with for sale, blank shoes. And I'm saying blank as in I'm leaving the word out. For sale, blank shoes, never worn.
Yeah, I am familiar with that. I don't know if he wrote it, but that would not surprise me.
Yeah, and so I always ask my students to fill in the blank. And I ask them to put that for sale, blank shoes never worn. And they say old shoes. And I think, oh, that's kind of a story. Why would the old shoes never be? And they'll say, clown shoes. Or,
mm-hmm.
They throw out all these adjectives. And what Hemingway came up with was baby shoes.
Right.
For sale, baby shoes never worn. And so we start with those 6 words and how that can, all the imagery that comes from that and just the other day we were having this class and a student drew on that and then did what you brought up, which was she tied it all back to this personal experience of this quilt that her grandmother had been making that never got to be finished. And so her 6-word story was that. And so what I always tell them is that strange kind of alchemy that goes on in the creative process is really, it's twofold in terms of what happens in your mind that gives you an idea. It's personal experience, and then it's also what you are ingesting.
Right.
So we always say we are what we eat. Well, you are what you read. You are what you watch. And so it's so important to be a reader if you want to be a writer. And so, yeah, I think it comes from those two things.
Now, of course, you're on a college campus, and you're a writer, and you see how the world is changing for the young people that are coming up now. And it's funny, I didn't know it was going to be part of this interview, but I read just before we met out here in the hallway that they're talking about how much less reading is being done these days by young people. And by the way, I used to be a newspaper guy. Well, you know this part, but for the rest of the world, I used to be a newspaper guy. And one of the ways I saw the writing on the wall is when I'd hand a newspaper to a 20-year-old, I'd say, here's a free newspaper, you should read it. And they'd say, no, I don't read newspapers.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that, and I was just shocked.
Yeah.
It was the first time it happened, my literally was jaw-dropping for me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that going on now. So I'd imagine at some point you're going to get stuff turned in class that you'll realize was written in AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'll have all those mistakes.
I have a big AI speech that I always give them.
And that would be
let's
okay. If it's a long AI speech, maybe you could just give us the highlights.
Long. This is the top line of it. But I write longhand, so I do make students write like first drafts in longhand, which is a way to deter them from that, and a way to teach them one really important thing about being a creative that I think is often overlooked, especially in this time of constant distraction. Rings and dings and buzzing things in your pocket.
But not CTV shows.
No, but not CTV shows. Is I think you have to create a space where you're not distracted.
Right.
And most of these kids have the attention span of a squirrel. Most all of us do. But the truth of real creativity is that the longer you stay in that world, especially if you're trying to build a fictional world or whatever project you're working on, it's kind of like a good workout. The deeper you get into it, the more benefits you get. So you're like descending into this realm. And then if something bings or you get stuck and you want to jump onto your email or your social media and distract yourself, well, then you've come all the way back out of the world and you have to get all the way back down to where you are. So what I tell them about AI is, in the book industry, the film industry, you hear the term a lot, catch lightning in a bottle.
Sure.
Something has happened and they've caught lightning in a bottle. Well, what the book industry does, and especially the film industry, if there's a big hit, then they're going to go take and make a ton of bottles. They're going to make things that look like that film, that are shaped like that film, and you're going to say, oh, if you liked this film, you're going to love these films because they're all. Most of the time, those bottles they create aren't popular. They don't carry that same. And the reason is because they lack the lightning. And that's what I tell my students is that all of us have that spark within us from our own experiences that have yet to be uploaded into AI. And that all AI can do at this point is create bottles. All it can do is take what's already been done, twist it, turn it, and create things that look like the thing, shape like the thing, but they're not the thing. And so the point of creative writing is to harness that strange alchemy, that lightning, get it down on a page, and try and do something that even if it's been done before, it's done in a new way. It's done in a way that you bring because of what you bring to the table.
Great. I like that so much. I'm almost certainly going to steal it from you.
Good. Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, no, I like that. Well, of course, and I like the phrase lightning in a bottle anyway.
Yeah.
But, well, with that said, then, do you have to teach them to tap into this? And you start with this 6-word story thing, but where does it go from there?
Yeah, so what's really nice, say different about a creative writing course than like a Comp 1 course, is that the students chose to take this course.
Okay, that's an excellent point.
Wanting to be there. Most of them have some sort of seed, So then the next part about tapping into the creative process is developing a daily habit. So I get people, if I had $1 for every time I do a book event or some sort of talk and I get approached at the end by some man who's been a surgeon his whole life, and he's like, man, I've got a great idea for a book.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, you know, well, how do you do it? And I say, you just do it every day. Like the same way that he learned to be a surgeon, like you learn to write through practice.
Sure.
So a lot of these students, what they overlook, a lot of any novice writer, not just my students, but there's some misconception that like writing is just something you've got a great idea and you're just going to write a New York Times best-selling novel the first thing out the gate.
Yeah.
When like Ray Bradbury's great quote that I've ascribed to and tell all my students is, you're not a real writer until you've written 1 million words. So imagine, play it out like this. If you just started to learn piano and you're like, I'm going to be a concert pianist, or not even a concert pianist, I'm just going to be a gigging professional.
Right.
I'm going to go down to the piano bar and I've been practicing for 3 months.
Right.
And now everybody's going to pay and have fun and listen to me play piano. No, they're not. Like, you've been writing for 3 months. You've got your first manuscript done. Like, okay, that's awesome. And it is to be celebrated. But you have to put in that time to learn how to tell a story. And so that's the second part. And the way you do that is a little bit every day. Like that, like you can train yourself to be creative in terms of the time you do it, the habit you create.
Right.
In the same way people train themselves to get up and jog first thing every morning. It becomes kind of this, you sit down, you're in, for me, it happens at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's been like that today, all the way for the last like 10 years now. Like it's, as a father, you know, as a guy, that's when I had to get up and do it. And that's kind of when I work best.
So you write every day. Do you set a word limit or anything
No,
like that?
I used to. I was so, like, I'm an old football player and coach, and I was so dead set on achieving Bradbury's 1 million words that I actually kept count. You know, I would keep up, and I would keep thinking like, well, I'm finally going to get something published when I hit 1 million words, you know. And now it's because it's not always like digging up new first drafts of words. That's not what those hours in the morning are always for. So I'm, like right now I'm working on a revision to try and get my next book in. So, you know, but that is when my brain is really in that kind of in between.
I'm going to interrupt you here, and we're going to pick this up after the break and give our sponsors a chance. You'll be back playing some music for us.
Yeah.
And so everybody will want to stay around for that. And this is Make It Make Sense. I'm Alex Kienlen here at the studios in Little Rock, and we'll be right back. And we're back. It's Make It Make Sense with Alex Kienlen here with our guest, Eli Cranor. And I didn't know you were bringing a guitar. I even said, gosh, if I'd known, we might have, well, anyway.
Could have done Johnny and June.
Yeah. Or maybe not.
So I just thought, you know, for me, this is kind of where it all started. Now, guitar is something that I will do when everything gets clogged up. Like instead of, if I'm working on a 100,000 word manuscript, it's 400 pages, and I'm stuck, instead of going and checking social media or my email, I'll just pick up the guitar, you know, and see what kind of putters around.
I wonder if they'd let me keep a guitar by my desk.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, with that said, tell us a little bit about what you're about to perform here.
Yeah, this is one of the, this is a song that I wrote for my wife. So my wife and I grew up about a block away from each other in Russellville, Arkansas.
How cool.
And so this isn't like one of the early songs, but it's a one I really like a lot. So this was like my proposal song. So here we go.
Good. Here we go.
Take My Hand. Like way in a world apart. How do you live if you ain't got a heart? I tried for years till I found out what it's about. What it's about. Mallory, come walk with me. Mallory, come take my hand. across those shores to the distant promised land. Oh, Mallory, take my hand. But look around and you'll see there ain't nobody like you and me. There's so much pain in the world today. Baby, take me away. Take me away. Mallory, come on with me. Mallory, come and take my hand. Lead me across those shores to the distant promised land. Oh, Mallory, take my hand. People say that love don't last. They say it starts off strong, but it burns out fast. But I got you, and there ain't no doubt. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Mallory, come walk with me. Mallory, come take my hand. Lead me across those shores to the distant promised land. Oh, Mallory, take my hand.
That was great. Thank you very much for that.
So yeah, living out my my singer-songwriter dreams, using the books as a way to force myself to get to play music for people.
And let me add, that was some pretty good guitar technique there,
Thank
brother.
you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
I play with a pick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not above playing with my fingers. Don't get me wrong, but
Got to
I
get
just
your
thought-
hands dirty every now
yeah,
and then.
yeah. Well, okay. I'll prove my bona fides. I have
Yep,
the
you got
calluses
the-
on
you
the
got
end of
the-
my fingers. So
Fingers to prove it.
yeah. So you wanted to marry Mallory, and you wrote that song. And I mean, that seems like a reasonable place to start from.
Yeah.
Did you have a tune in your head?
Isn't that the weird thing about songwriting? You know, sometimes it happens with the melody. Sometimes you're plucking around and you find something and you think, and then you fit the words to it. And then other times I've written, and this is what we'll be doing in class at Arkansas Tech University come Monday, is I will take the guitar in and I'll show them, you know, songs where it started with the poem. I had the words and then I put music to it. And then I'll show them songs where I had the music and I put the words to it. Which again, I don't know how that all relates to crafting something like a novel, you know, like a big manuscript.
Well, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
So let me interrupt you to
Yeah.
say this or ask this, because I'll notice certain words lend themselves to a rhythm,
Yeah.
but then that's also true with the written word,
Yeah.
not just songwriting. So, you know, I suppose there's a rhythm with as you start to put the sentences down, a rhythm forms.
I think so. For me, people ask me all the time, like, what do I like to read? And I don't really care about genre or what the book's about, as long as it's well written. Like on a line by line level, on a granular melodic level,
absolutely.
like what you're talking about.
yeah.
Like you could write about anything, and I would read it. Now I understand that I'm in the minority. You know, I understand that those same people you were handing those newspapers to, they're like, huh. Yeah, they don't care about a line's rhythm, maybe, but I think sometimes when I read things out loud to people, you can hear it, because part of my creative writing process is that everything I write, I read out loud. Before it ever goes out the door,
Really?
I read the whole. I I haven't done it with this last project I'm working on just because it's been such in flux, but I'll do it before I send it off to my editor. But for a long time, I might get about 1,000 to 1,500 words of prose in a morning. And then what I'll do is I mess with it and shape it throughout the rest of the day, like kind of once that golden window of creativity has.
Sure.
And then at the end of the day, right after my kids go to bed, I go back down to the office and I call my mom and I read to her over the phone just whatever I've written that day. I'm not a big planner. I'm not an outliner, so that helps me in a lot of ways. It helps me figure out what I'm going to do come morning, like what might happen. I can also hear just what we're talking about, like lines that feel flat. But here's why it's the best thing ever for my writing. It's because my mother, every time I call her for almost 10 years now, here's exactly what she says when I finish. Eli, honey, that is the best thing I have ever heard you write. And she tells me that every night. So I hang up feeling like I've written the next great American novel. I go to bed and go.
Now, do you do the trick? I've heard you always quit on the downhill.
I don't. I burn at both ends, and I'll keep going and keep going. I'll just go until I really until the juice is out. Because I'm lucky now. I mean, I'm only on campus 2 days a week, and I have a lot of days where I can just spend. So I get up and try to get it going, down. That's what really that. And then once the kids are at school, and I usually burn out around a little after lunch, and then Mike goes for a swim, and it's time to pick the kids up.
Well, that's what I've heard a lot of professional authors say. They're about 6 hours flat out, and you're just gassed.
Yeah, for me, that's probably about, and then and the bad stuff really you can, because I have such a, like I said, an old athlete's mentality that I'll just keep trudging ahead, my back's, and then I'll have to delete it all the next day,
Who wrote this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that myself.
Yeah.
Look at the next morning, oh man, somebody should shoot me. So then there's always that inner critic.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we all have to shut off when we're creating.
Yeah, it really is. It's been a funny up and down. Like when I first started, I had that Bradbury thought, like, okay, I'm learning. This is an apprenticeship. I've got 1 million words to go. So whatever. But there was also a lot of freedom in that. I could write present tense, past tense, third person, first person, play with it all, throw everything out. And there's this great thing, Zen mind, beginner's mind.
Yes, very familiar with it.
Yeah. So beginner's mind, for those who don't know, is just like when you're a kid or you're first starting anything, everything is possible because you've never been told no. You've never been told like this isn't going to work, or you've never had it not work before. So there was all that in the early part. Then I got to kind of a window when my first book was coming out, and I felt really smart, like it was really well received, and I thought, hell yeah, I'm a published author, and look at what these people. But now on book 4. I hear that a lot in my head a lot more. It's like, make it a football analogy, the first time you throw a spiral, everybody's like, wow, that's a beautiful pass. Look at how well. But then they want you to throw it 50 yards on a line to a window that's about 2 foot by 2 foot wide.
Right.
And that's what you have to guard against, that like every book doesn't have to be the perfect spiral, or you can write with that same freedom that you had when you were first starting.
Well, what's the saying? Don't let great get in the way of good.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, listen, Eli, I genuinely appreciate you coming by, and
This is a blast, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make this a habit.
Yeah,
because I think I got a lot out of it.
Oh, me too.
And I'm hoping our viewers did the same. But I really enjoyed this interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex.
And you bet. So let's make it a point that you'll be back.
Deal.
And we'll work that out. And I wish you continued success in your authorship.
Thank you.
And this is Make It Make Sense. I'm Alex Kienlen, here today with guest Eli Cranor and the creative process. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.